we breathe in and we breathe out. One more time. Now, I just want to make a brief video in regard to the significant and importance of living a life free of violence. I mean, if you participate in a domestic violence program, court order or recommended, once again, the goal, the essential and main goal from a domestic violence program is to stay violence free. So, so to stay violence free, obviously, one of the first steps is going to be to acknowledge the violence used against the victim and other people. So once again, the main goal is to stay violence free. Though, how do I do it? How do we do it? What is the first step? Number one is to acknowledge that you are behaving, acting in a way that was disrespectful, in a way that you created tension, fear, trauma to the victim and other individuals such as children. So the first step then is to acknowledge, to admit that you could have done something different to avoid the problem. So the next step I want to say is to take, be responsible and be accountable. Number two, be accountable. So accountable comes from the word account, is like a checking account that now we need to pay for what we have done. And it's not necessarily, going to jail, being in probation, paying a fee to the court, or doing the domestic violence program. That's part of being accountable. But also we need to pay for what we have done, especially to the victim and children. So some individuals may have a restraining order and they may not be allowed by the court, by law, to be around the victim. Some courts may allow the individual to have contact with the children in a peaceful manner, or to have communication with the victim only in regard to the visitation with the children. In some cases, and of course, those individuals going to court go to family law, and then the judge may provide or grant visitation rights to the individual, even though there was a case of domestic violence, but they go through, evaluations and they allow the visitations under supervision. But going back to accountability, it means that how do I repair the damage I have done? How do I repair it? Some of you are not allowed to go back home because of the restraining order, but how do I repair the damage if I'm not allowed to be present with my family? Well, it's the consequence, right? It's the legal consequence. It's the psychological, emotional, and I want to say a spiritual consequence in a negative way. And and the way to be accountable would be to consistently create a safe space from now on in your circle. And of course, if you're back to your family and the judge and the court permit, then being accountable means that I'm going to make sure that I create a safe space every single day, that I stay calm, that I won't raise my tone of voice, because raising my tone of voice is going to reawake the trauma, the susto, the fear in the victim and children. So slamming doors or throwing things on the floor because of despair or stress or frustration, that could be a stressor or a trigger that may reawake fear or trauma in victims of domestic violence. So, so going through a process of recovery, doing the program, learning the coping skills to stay violence free is your responsibility, is your commitment to not only learn those coping skills but also to apply them consistently, such as the breathing technique, breathe in and breathe out. Positive self talk, reminding yourself to be under control of your anger, frustration, or aggressive behavior. Positive thinking, try your very best to decrease and eliminate negative thinking about your circumstance, especially about your relationship situation. Um, Taking time outs, especially when there is a need to do it. That's going to help to avoid and prevent, to avoid, prevent, well, same thing, right? To prevent and eliminate the violence. And eliminate the violence within a relationship or environment. So, to live a life free of violence means that you do not use any type of abuse. No um, emotional abuse, no verbal abuse, no physical abuse, and so many others. So, briefly speaking, then, to stay violence free means to not only not use those types of abuse, but also to continue recovering yourself, to continue processing healing within yourself. Because you may also have your own painful, unresolved, uh, growing up experiences, painful experiences. And within a domestic violence program is not only learning those coping skills, but it's also processing your stuff, the things within yourself that you still need to heal, that you still need to process in order to understand the continual commitment to stay violence free. Um, Briefly speaking, I just wanted to provide a summary of what it means to stay violence free. So, thank you for your time, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.